Hey, what is going on, guys? I want to really quickly say, I'm going to be extremely clear. This video is going to be very serious, it's going to be probably pretty intense, and it's going to be unfiltered. There will most likely be cursing in this video. There are going to be some very mature topics and themes. If you are a very young person or you don't like hearing about those types of things, I would suggest being careful and cautious with watching this video. I'm going to be talking about things like depression, anxiety, why it's so prominent in online communities, but I'm also going to be sharing personal stories about my life that I've never shared with anyone outside of a very small group of people, like my family members. So, just want to be very clear about that. Yeah, let's just hop into it. I wasn't expecting to make a video like this one for quite a while. I was planning on doing some more fun type videos, but honestly, I just can't shake this topic, so I have to get it out. And there are people who have been sharing, expressing things with me saying, I would love to hear about this sort of situation. So the first thing I want to say is, why is depression, anxiety, mental instability, why is it so common in online communities, specifically online video games? Now, you might not think that it is common, and there are countless studies, countless information, 100% connection. There's no doubt, guys. Anxiety, depression, and the mental instability or mental illness, it is huge, and it is rampant inside online communities. It's extremely high, and almost all studies show that it is higher in online communities as opposed to real life communities. So there are lots of reasons for this, right? In my opinion, it boils down to a few things. Well, the main thing is people who invest themselves heavily inside these communities, there is always a reason for why they do that, as opposed to, you know, just go to the bars or find some people at church or just make friends at school like a normal person, okay? All of those things, they didn't necessarily sound condescending when I used those sentences. Those, in and of themselves, are extremely negative ways of telling people to be normal. Quit being a loser, bro. If you can't find, you know, a girl or a guy at school who likes you and wants to be in a relationship with you, then you're just pathetic, right? That's what people are telling you. And they may use it in a lot nicer terminology or harsher terminology, but the idea is that when you are going to the internet, it's because you have no ability to find a real life connection or bond with people, or quite simply to put it, you have no real life friends, so you have to find these fake half friends online. Let me tell you right now, your friendships online do not need to be belittled or worse or lessened from a real life friendship. And a lot of times when I've seen it, people are more real, authentic, legitimate online than the fake, phony personality they show in real life, because they quite simply have the anonymity to not have to hide behind something. Online, people are more honest and truthful, especially when they don't have to show their face and they don't have to show what they're going through. It is never considered a positive thing to people when you accomplish something in a video game or online, okay? You've probably heard this before, right, guys? You might have just gotten, let's use Hypixel minigames for an example here. You might have gotten like the leaderboard on some minigame or whatever, but you're never going to share that, like, to people who you know are going to say, well, big deal, you know, have you cured cancer? Like, that's sort of a big leap, right? But no one thinks that these accomplishments online mean anything. They try to knock down anything you do. They diminish it because it doesn't, well, what good does that do? It's pointless is what they're going to say, right? Why would that be any less valuable, important, or of less worth than somebody who does something with school sports? Maybe someone, like, to me, guys, if someone tells me that they have, oh bro, I just got the leaderboards on some Hypixel minigame and I spent 40 hours this week trying to get it, or someone says, yo, I actually just improved my own personal record in points scored in my basketball team, and I had to train for 40 hours to get this new goal. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, you know, that guy, he improved his points per game in basketball. You know, hats off, congratulations. This guy just made the leaderboards on an online game for virgins. What a loser. Literally in my mind, the two things are the same. The accomplishment does not have to be judged and weighted by the significance of it. And if you really look at it and you boil it down to the point, neither of these two people have done anything of extreme significance, but people are going to put one weighing it being more important because it's a real life activity or basketball is important. This is really how I see other people acting, and I think you guys have seen the same thing. It does happen so often, and that's where the frustration comes in, right? Because people don't want to be categorized as doing something that's not worth their time. It's considered degenerate to do something that has no purpose. But everyone's hobbies don't have purpose inherently outside of enjoyment, okay? People who paint, you know, they make paintings. If you don't sell your paintings or take them to like your local nursing home and give them away to free people, like for free to people, you're just painting as a hobby. That would still be considered to a lot of people better than playing an online game. The whole point I'm trying to make here is that what you choose to do for your hobby or your personal enjoyment doesn't deserve to be judged by other people, right? That is ridiculous. But it happens all the time, and that leads to people thinking that they've wasted this time, bro. Like, all the time spent playing games, bro, what a waste, dude. What a waste is what people think. They think, oh my gosh, I spent so much time doing something that nobody else appreciated. That is so heartbreaking when you have to experience that, and that's what leads people to think that it's a waste of time. That connection can cause depression if it wasn't already there, right? Also, I think people run to an online community where they can kind of have a different name for themselves. I've heard so many people say that at school I get bullied. At school I'm a loser. I'm fat, or I'm short, or I have acne. But online, all people see is my avatar, and they don't see the freckles. They don't see, you know, you guys aren't really, no one in here is probably bald, okay? But what my point is, people can take on an alternate persona, and it is extremely important to people. The persona they carry is different from who they are in real life. And what I would choose to say is it's not entirely different from who you are. It's that you aren't being based off of things that are outside of your control. When you were being born and you were coming out of the uterus, yeah, I don't know why I just said that, but yeah, we'll just yeah. You don't get asked what you are going to look like. You don't get, when you're a baby, you don't get asked, how tall would you like to be? Would you like to have this color hair? And would you like to, you know, have a straight jawline? Like, no, you don't get asked those things, dude. When that happens, you are out of your element because you don't have the control over it. I'm an extremely short person. I got bullied all the time for being small and short. And it was super frustrating because there was literally nothing I could do about it. It was 100% physically impossible for me to become taller, yet people were hating on me because of it. That sort of thing is extremely damaging, and that sucks, dude. So don't try to listen to people who are belittling you for things that you know are irrational. It took me a long time to think to myself, when people make fun of me for being short, it is an irrational judgment. It made me think that being short was like actually like a terrible thing, and that being short was just getting screwed over in life. The truth about it is that when I started to realize, dude, this makes like 0 sense, right? It makes 0 sense that they would make fun of me for something that is literally out of my control. I started to feel more at peace about it, because I felt like, well, dude, the glitch isn't with me. The glitch is with people who put so much importance on shit that is out of your control, right? It's a shitty situation all around, but people become unfiltered when they project their thoughts and the way they perceive you, to your face, right? Speaking of being unfiltered, it is possible that when you get online, people become even more unfiltered, and they say things they wouldn't say to your face, right? Like, people will say things, they become more arrogant, egotistical, they become more abrasive, more just aggressive towards you, because there's no real fear. I could say something to you right now that you would punch me in the face for if I was talking directly to you, but you're not going to punch me in the face like through Discord or through instant message or Facebook or whatever the hell people are talking on right these days, right? It can actually open you up to even more disgusting hatred. And I think that it's a combination of feeling judged in real life, running to an online place to try and change that, and then almost getting it back again. So I talked about that for a while, and I think if I had to summarize that, the whole point of it is that depression exists in online gaming and in online communities because however much we don't want to admit it, I think even people who game a lot or do things, it's almost considered like a waste of time. And how could you feel good about yourself if you thought that you're wasting your time, right? It's not a waste of time, guys. Obviously, you shouldn't be spending 22 hours a day playing games and isolating yourself. But don't let somebody tell you something is better, more important, or worthwhile because they don't understand you. Imagine if it was reversed. Imagine if video games were more important than football, and losers who played football were just super depressed because they enjoyed this freaking football game, but football is just stupid. That's the analogy I'm trying to make, and that's exactly why people end up thinking to themselves, what I'm doing is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. Don't make excuses for what you enjoy doing, and don't lower yourself because of other people's opinions of that. I'm going to talk about my own personal experiences, and I don't think I'm going to get into it as much as I could. I'm probably going to try to go slowly with this. Maybe I'll try and talk about it in another video. I was actually going to... I went into this video thinking that I was going to explain a lot of my own personal experiences, but I don't think I can all in one go, especially because I don't like getting really emotional on videos, and it'll just make me feel uncomfortable. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit, okay? One thing, also, I'm talking about this because I hope I can relate to you guys, and that you guys can hear this and say that connects with me. I get a lot of messages on Discord. I don't get as much as I used to because I literally told people stop messaging me. I just said I'm not going to be responding anymore. That sucked. Made me feel pretty bad, right? But the reason why I do this is because I get messages, and I know people have feelings of despair, or they have feelings that they experience, and nobody is there for them, and they don't feel comfortable talking to anybody about it, but they feel comfortable talking to me. But at the same time, they only feel comfortable talking to me for reasons because they aren't going to be face-to-face with me. They aren't going to lose clout for talking to me, right? I got 2 messages recently that stuck out extremely hard. And I get so many messages. I've had some people message me about this, that it is extremely easy to tell them apart. I can tell someone who is struggling with something that I think they will be able to overcome, and then I can also tell the difference between somebody who is going through something that is so foreign to their own understanding that they're like almost scared of their own thoughts and feelings. And I'd say overall, in my entire time on YouTube, I've probably never gotten like 5 or 6 messages from people that stick out to me extremely well, and I've gotten 2 of those in the last like 24 hours. And what people who may not know about me is that I do think about these things quite a bit. In fact, when I first started YouTube, I had a WordPad on my computer, and I had over 800 names of usernames of people who would watch my live streams. I had over 800 names. I called it my database, and I would put down any information I had about these people. I put down what their name was, if they told me their age, and put that down there, and I put some that I remembered about them. And all this information would just constantly pile up, and I couldn't keep it in my head. But I tried to remember all these things, and I can't always do that. So I'd rather just find a way that I can express myself that doesn't have to be one-on-one 100% of the time. So anyway, let's just get into this. I know it's probably been quite a while, but those of you who do get to this point of the video are probably the ones who need it the most, right? So the point about my own personal experience is that you can be extremely depressed, and you can have a lot of anxiety and problems even if your life is like really great. I think that one of the things that I struggle with the most is that so many people used to tell me that I wasn't capable of having these problems. I wasn't capable of having depression or anxiety because my life was dope, right? I had a bitchin' life, and those of you who aren't like my age, bitchin's a good thing. Anyway, I had this like dope ass life, right? People just thought it was like the sickest, like, yo, like, dude, he's got the king shit as far as lives go. He's just rocking. He's got blonde girlfriend, awesome family, you know. I really do have an awesome life. I think my life is great. But that didn't save me from having experiences that took me to my absolute edge and my breaking point. Even with nothing that is super shitty about your life, like no previous trauma, no sexual abuse, no divorce in your family, no, you know, whatever, you can still have these things, because that's what mental illness and mental, you know, problems are like. They trigger without needing as much of a cause. Things don't always just go one ear and out the other. Sometimes something goes in one ear, stays in your head for years, until eventually goes out the other ear, if it ever leaves at all. Even as I'm like talking about this, I know that there are people out there who don't understand, and people who use this as like something like to insult you for, right? I've been there. I've experienced that quite a bit, right? You can experience these things even with the best life in the world. Picture the most happy you can be, you know, mansion, super hot significant other, maybe a family, maybe you got like 5 million in the bank or something like that. Doesn't matter if your deep-rooted insecurities are what define you as a person, right? That is a huge point. Having any type of anxiety or something like that is seen as a weakness by almost everyone who doesn't understand it. Even people who do have anxiety, when they're not anxious, they don't relate to someone else for having that anxiety. They think, oh, well, dude, why is this person anxious about that? Because everyone's anxieties relate different to who they are. I think everyone would be anxious if they were at a bank and a guy came in with a gun, right? I think everyone would be like, oh my god, like this is awful. That anxiety trigger relates to all human beings. But then there's the anxiety of flying in a plane that only relates to certain people, or the anxiety of something that you might not even ever heard of, like someone having anxiety about like being around a campfire and like accidentally they're like fall in, or being on a boat and drowning, you know, or being around a cat and like having your eye clawed out. Not everyone's going to experience those types of fears and anxieties because it doesn't relate to everyone. And so if you don't relate to someone on why they're anxious, it's viewed as a weakness. If they don't understand it, people think that it's your fault for experiencing it. That you just need to suck it up. Bro, like, people will tell me all the time when I'm anxious, just calm down, relax. Or, you know, if I had depression in the past, people would say, why? You've got so much to live for. These people, their intentions might be good, but it isn't helping, right? I think all of you have probably been in a situation where when you're anxious, being told to calm down is ridiculous. is not going to help, even if the people are trying to help you. Until you experience what it is like to feel complete utter panic and like that, you can't completely understand it. And I know I've been rambling. It's because I don't feel like talking about this, or I do feel like talking about it. It's just it's personal. I have had extremely bad anxiety and depression in my life, and I've talked about it at times, but never have I expressed to the extent of how bad it is. And whenever I have mentioned it, I know from the responses I get, people haven't understood to the deepness that I had these problems, and I still have them today, and I have them quite severely, and I have them quite bad, but the exterior of someone doesn't match the interior at all times. I started to have really bad anxiety around 5 years ago. It got extremely bad. So bad to the point where I could hardly do anything. I was having panic attacks every single night, and I thought several times that I was so close to dying during a panic attack that I would go to the emergency room, and all I could think about on my way there was, this is my last day on Earth. Thinking, I guess my fear of death, along with my panic attacks, were so strong that whenever I had it, I thought during the day before a panic attack would happen that I had to come to terms with dying young, because it was eventually going to happen, and I thought people were lying to me. I thought people weren't telling me the truth. I didn't understand that panic was deep-rooted inside an anxiety or an anxious moment, and I thought, no one understands that I'm going to die during one of these panic attacks. And I couldn't tell anyone that, but that's what I thought. And it got to the point where, even though I had such a loving family and I had Haley there for me and all these things, my anxiety and the panic and the OCD and the depression would always make me paranoid and make me think that my own criticisms and thoughts myself were the same way that other people were thinking of me. And it got to the point where I couldn't listen to people trying to tell me the encouraging things they were trying to tell me. All I could think about was how much of a burden I thought I was on other people, and how much of a loser that, since I thought I was that way, and how I thought that what I was doing was pointless and worthless, and that I was being a burden to other people. The only thing I could think about was how other people would be better off without me. So I've heard other people tell me this before, and it has resonated pretty hard with me because that is the way that I felt. And eventually, it got to the point where I did make some very bad decisions that landed me in extremely terrible places. I'm not going to be able to talk about it in this video if I do decide to talk about it, but I had such trouble with it that I went to the greatest extremes you can go, and I felt like I was in my right mind, even though I wasn't. And I ended up in the hospital for a few days with a lot to think about, and I just remember thinking right after that emotions can change so quickly. Emotions can change so quickly. It's hard if you are only listening to yourself. If you're only listening to your own mind and your own brain, you can be telling yourself lies. And I kept on thinking, I'm better off helping my own family, helping Haley, by just ceasing to exist and not being here anymore, and giving them that peace of mind that they don't have to worry about me anymore, take care of me. But after I ended up in the situation I was in, and I had made such drastic mistakes, I realized that I was not thinking clearly. I was making judgments based off of my own flawed logic. And even though I struggled with that, it was what essentially changed my mind on what I tell myself. And right now, you guys are all the prime age that what you tell yourselves is what's true. You say to yourself, I'm pathetic, I'm a loser. You listen to yourself. You listen to your own thoughts. Don't trust yourself, guys. Don't trust yourself when you criticize yourself. These thoughts of self-consciousness and self-criticism, they aren't helpful, and I can tell you from personal experience, they are not true, okay? When people used to tell me positive, encouraging things, oh, you know, we don't care about these problems you're having. We're here to help you. We love you. I thought, these people are lying to me, bro. They're not even telling me the truth. I'm such a pathetic loser that they're lying to me. Your brain is not always going to take your side or do what is best for you. So take it from someone who has been in that situation, that when you're at your breaking point, emotions can change so fast and can grip you so quickly that you shouldn't always respond to what you are thinking. And sometimes the scariest thing you can do is to tell somebody else what you are thinking, what your thoughts are. Go to somebody. And if you're at that point where you literally are going to do something stupid and crazy, like, tell somebody what your thoughts are. Confront your thoughts of inadequacy and see what the answer is. Because it's not going to come from you. It needs to come from a place when you're not completely overwhelmed by your own thoughts. So yeah, this is a very long video. I should probably end it here. I'm going to talk about one last thing. I don't know how long I've been going, probably like 20 minutes, something like that. I want to talk about how you can overcome that mental state and how you can help yourself. The number one thing I'd say to help yourself is to not live entirely in the moment of what your head is telling you. Don't rely on your own thoughts at all times, guys. The brain can be super positive. It can give us this energy. It can give us a huge burst of adrenaline, and we can get super strong positive thoughts, but we're also really good at giving ourselves negative thoughts. We're really good at telling ourselves how bad we are, how bad we suck, how we need to feel guilty about this, how we should feel ashamed for this. Try to understand that thoughts will betray you if you give them the chance. That'd be the last thing I'm going to leave you with on this video, and I'll probably have another video about this sometime down in the future. If this was a video that you thought was meaningful or useful or whatever, feel free to let me know down below. Feel free to comment. You guys can also message me on Discord. I'll try to leave it there. I apologize if I can't respond to everyone, because sometimes I have the time to. It's just too much for me to talk about with people in a one-on-one setting. It's easy for me to just talk to myself when I'm in a room by myself. But yeah, I may try to express some more of my own personal story with you guys. It is much more dark and bleak than most people realize, and there are certain parts of it that I was too much of a it was too shocking for me to all divulge right now, just because it's tough to talk about these things. But I think at the same time, sometimes things that are tough to talk about need to be talked about. So anyway, yeah, if you guys watched this part of the video, I really appreciate it. But it wasn't really meant solely as a video for myself. It was also meant for something that you guys could hopefully relate to, and hopefully if I do talk about this again soon, you guys can maybe get something out of this that you did not have before you watched this. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. Peace out.